I'm very curious about this. Who is a very underrated composer?
Oh my gosh. It's hard to say. I guess generalities for me are very hard. I would say that probably it's not very often that you hear Schumann symphonies or you hear Mendelssohn. Maybe Mendelssohn is still quite underrated in terms of what he's done or what he's paved and the kinds of things he showed early on. And you know, I don't see much of Mendelssohn, Schumann, or Schubert. You know, with of course the major symphony orchestras want to use bigger apparatus. You know, so I understand that. So in terms of sort of the standard composers, you know, you have that. But I think again, you know, we are now finding out how many underrated composers we have, even amongst us, and I think that the job to me is that we normalize, you know, sort of what we feel needs to be done in terms of setting a field that allows for certain voices to come out. And you can go from century to century, you just mentioned 19th century, if you look, you know, even 18th century or especially 20th century now, you know, there's so many composers that are not done often enough. And I think wherever you look, so could be European, could be even American, but I have started to actually avoid certain composers that I feel aren't done or have been done, especially when it comes to the American repertoire, you know. Yeah. And we were talking about this. If you look at our program this week here, there's certain composers that some people may be missing because, oh, I know this and I know that. And to me, leveling the playing field means that you don't get this argument anymore. Hey, well, why do we schedule that? They don't know that. Well, you know, if you only schedule what can sell because people recognize it, you have to start doing the new names,
right?
And especially do names that people cannot pronounce at first, so they get more practice, you know. But so to me, there are many underrated composers or less played, I would say. You know, I think that there are composers that are highly rated, but maybe underplayed. And you know, it's sometimes also the fact that some of them are harder to put together. And I would wish even this week we have, let's say, if you take for example the Perkinson, you know, we're doing 2 movements from his second Sinfonietta, totally underrated, you know, and his namesake, you know, Coleridge Taylor, that's his first name, Perkinson, but he was named after Coleridge Taylor, and Coleridge Taylor wrote amazing stuff, you know, 100 years ago that paved the way for so many, and he's not underplayed in Great Britain. He's actually quite often performed there, just not here. So it really depends on where you look. But we need to make sure that also the material is there. So we talked about this in terms of publishers and so on. If you realize that people didn't have opportunity or weren't given that, yeah, maybe somebody performed it, but nowadays we know orchestras will only play something that is legible and that has not too many mistakes and that is good. That means a composer needs to have good publishing, right, as well. So giving them the opportunity to actually be played more often so that people don't feel, oh gosh, there's too many mistakes in here. So leveling the playing field is not just about us thinking about who do we want to know that has great music, but also helping along that music to actually get more playing time and making it easier to go out. In Asia, you know, I want to do music by, you know, not just Takemitsu, but, you know, Minoru Miki and other great Somi Sato. And, you know, we don't have access to that music readily available here, or not all of it, or even a catalog. And it's important, I think, that all of that at this day and age is more accessible and can be done more easily, and then I think it'll be more of a melting pot. You know?
Totally. Yeah.